What's going on, guys? I'm sitting here. I'm just about to finish up this piece that I've been working on. The dwellings for the Eathling of the Ukiam tribe. Just to give you guys a little bit of cultural insight into how they live. You'll meet them at some point in my first book. And as I was finishing up, I started to think about something. And so I'm going to go on potentially a little bit of a pretentious rant here. So take it with a grain of salt. Like I said, I don't have any formal education other than the books I've read in psychology or philosophy or whatever you might value when endeavoring to have this conversation. I'm just a grunt that likes to draw. But what I've been thinking of is the importance of understanding the balance between consumption and creation. And when I say consumption, I do mean just consuming as a just general sweeping term. There's people that might like to critique the differences between the productivity of creating, let's say, like literature versus perhaps video games, or, maybe movies versus TV shows. And I'm not really going to talk about that. I'm mostly just talking about consuming as a whole. I love to read, and I love watching a good movie, and I think that some of the greatest stories ever been told have been told through the medium of video games. So I like consuming it all. I'm here for it. But what I wanted to talk a little bit about is the lack of priority I've seen anecdotally around synthesizing that information and creating something with it. And I think that that's actually just super detrimental, that it's not something that we value. And when I say creating, it doesn't necessarily need to be in perhaps the traditional sense of creating something physical. It could be, just through intentionally creating a thought and then writing that thought down, or even speaking it, in a debate form. I think that all of that is important because at some point, we have to consume with a purpose, right? We spend the majority of our formative years consuming with the purpose of synthesizing that information and creating something with it. Ever since the Industrial Revolution, ever since well before the Industrial Revolution, but exponentially so since, let's say the 1890s and so forth, we have automated human tasks that generally required creation, and leading to 2025, we've seen kind of just a general rise of purposelessness within humanity as we are stripped away from our utility. And I think that is, ultimately that can be really sad, and I think that it's led to the mental decay of just our society as humans. But also, it theoretically, it should lead to an interesting opportunity. Whereas once we were forced to create things out of necessity, now we should be able to create things out of passion. And for whatever reason, we don't really see a priority on taking advantage of that opportunity. And I think that it's to the great decay of the human spirit. So that's something that I would strongly encourage people to do, but to understand how important it is to take a break from that constant consumption that seems a little bit unavoidable, and instead do something with the things that they've learned. Again, I'm not necessarily talking about, or in a position to delineate between the productivity of the different types of consumption. I just am talking about, in general, at some point we need to take a break from that, and we need to create something, and something with intentionality. We talk about just how oversaturated the market is for creative endeavors, and I believe that that's in part true, but I don't think that it's because so many people are intentionally creating that the market has become oversaturated. I think that it's because people are consuming so much that large entities are creating just kind of half-assed slop for us to consume because we feel the need to. I don't think that the issue with the market is that so many people are being so intentional about the things that they are creating. And, that becomes hard because it can be a little disheartening to say, okay, perhaps I do want to create and I want people to see my work, but now you're competing with, the demand of the consumer against people that seemingly have infinite resources and no respect for the art. Trust me, I have a lot of critiques on that specifically, especially with the growing use of, artificial intelligence within an artistic capacity. I could make 100 videos on my critique for that, and, if I stick with this long enough, I probably will. But I don't think that should discourage people from attempting to create, because at the end of the day, it feels so great to receive the validation from your peers. I fed off of that for years and years and years, because it feels good. I didn't start putting on my art stumbling over my words. I didn't put my art on the internet until this year, and it still felt phenomenal to be drawing and just show it to my wife, or to send a picture of a finished piece to a couple of my group chats, or to just go to a local gallery. I did that for a long time. I've shown my art to complete strangers just because I do value praise, and it's fun to see other people experience what you've created just kind of in a microscopic level. And I think that people are generally pretty generous, even when, it's easy to receive praise for some of the things that I've poured a lot of time into, but I've started a lot of projects that I'm not particularly good at, and overwhelmingly, I either A, get advice on how to get better, or B, I just get the prompts for even attempting to do it, just to even try, by people that are masters of the trade. And I think that's really cool, and it's so healthy, and it's just something that I think we've lost a little bit and we don't prioritize enough, and I would just argue stringently against its importance. That's just kind of the thing that I was thinking about. I don't want to drag these videos out too long, and again, I'm not really arguing from a place of any real credibility. It's something that I've seen anecdotally in the people that I interact with on a daily basis, and I would just encourage people to create. I think that it's super important, and it really doesn't matter what you create. Just create. Do it. It's healthy. Thanks.